Hello. I feel so strange sitting here talking to my camera, and I am trying to remember as I'm sitting here out in the open in public that it is actually fairly normal to be sitting here talking to a screen like a normal human being. Anyhow, so here I am today. It is the 16th of November 2024. Just for, an occasional timestamp. It is an unusual day here in southeastern Michigan. I am sitting here in a turtleneck and, just a little 3/4 hoodie, zip up, whatever. Not the mid-November I remember growing up as a child in Michigan. So there is that. I am making this video today because I realize I think I need to reintroduce myself. I have said before in another video that my name is Dore and I have a lot to say. So let me fill in some details. Standard trigger warning. I am the trigger. And filters are not a thing I'm masterful with, as is evidenced by the quality and the type of videos I have. Hi, did you see that pore and that booger in my nose? Good, me too. All right. My brain moves really, really fast, and I use a lot of words. And sometimes I let the words come out unfiltered, because sometimes if I say something that could be in error, it's sometimes still useful. So let me say I am truly the trigger warning. Again, my name is Dore. Yes, really honest to God, like the fish. And if you can't tell by the screen, I am way older than the fish. I think that there are actually an awful lot to names that we don't look at, but that's another video. However, part of the reason I'm making this right now in this fashion is because I was just gifted with a TED Talk by a person I admire a great deal. And I will link the TED Talk to this video as I post it. It will probably take me a minute to figure out how to do that because technology and old, and I don't want to pay attention. However, in this TED Talk, and it was from what I gather put on by the community at the Boston Conservatory of Music. And the first speaker was from my perspective, young lady who spoke to my heart in so many ways. Again, I'm the trigger, I'm a crier. All my emotions will show on my face at all times. You've been told. But this young lady used some terms to describe herself, and she's really not all that young. She called herself a multi-hyphenated person for whom the phrase "jack of all trades, master of none" has simultaneously been, if I would sum it up, and I hope I'm not doing a disservice to what she shared, but the phrase "jack of all trades, master of none" sounds like it has both been her superpower and the bully stick with which she has been beaten and beaten herself, metaphorically speaking. I have spent an awful long time not acknowledging, not understanding the meaning of, not admitting many of the labels that we use for shorthand to express some of the parts that I contain. So I'm going to just word vomit at you, see if any of these stick for any of you. And then I'll explain a little bit more about what I think I might be doing with these damn videos, and I don't know. So some terms, some labels, some alphabet soup that works. I am a person of multi-exceptionalities, multiple documented neurodivergencies, not self-diagnosed, odd and meandering professional academic credentials that would include a bunch of fun little letters like MM, MS, BCBA, with focused concentrations in ABA. So let me explain a little bit if none of those letters work for you. Let's work backwards. First of all, BCBA and ABA. BCBA stands for Board Certified Behavior Analyst. That is the official practicing credential in the applied science of applied behavior analysis, or ABA. The MS refers to a Master's of Science in Special Education. I'm actually will always be slightly amused by the fact that I have an MS and not an MA, but we'll get there someday. Masters in Special Education. The MM refers to a Masters of Music. That particular alphabet soup usually comes with the caveat of a music of what? My Masters of Music is in vocal performance, which means I used to sing a lot. We'll get there. Working backwards. Alphabet soup, or maybe terminology soup. Multi-exceptionality, multi-neurodivergent. Let's talk about those real quick. So I really hate saying these things because let's just say it doesn't align with my values, but I don't have other language because I'm old and they didn't have language when I was a kid. So, multi-exceptionality. I was a kid who was identified as having an high IQ for some idiotic reason, a very determined mother. And so my happy ass was placed in schools for the gifted and talented. So I fall under the neurodivergent educational classification of gifted and talented. We're still working on figuring out what the fuck to call that and what that means. As these things go, and we'll talk about it more and more as, I make videos if you stick around. But I also am the kid who I always got to the room. I always got to the table. I was always with the special kids group, but I was always the dummy. Just a few years ago, I finally got a real diagnosis of what I have been suspecting for 25 years. which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So that gives me official street cred in the world of neurodivergence. I know neurodivergence is often used as a catch-all phrase or code or slang or whatever for autism. I'm okay with that, but the first message I would like to post under this introduction is that autism is not the only neurodivergence, and I will probably spend most of these videos arguing very hard, that we're getting autism and neurodivergence radically wrong and breaking people because of it. So, I have some skin in the game, as they say. And if you're connecting the dots, clearly somewhere along the line, I felt like I wasn't quite working and living up to expectations, and life and stuff kind of took me down this side track that I could never have imagined I would have gone down, into special education. I started teaching as an undergraduate student. I started teaching voice. One of my voice teachers in college was out on a medical leave and asked me to step in and help some of her younger students, because I was an older undergrad. Can we go back around to the broken thing? Okay, we'll go back there later. Anyhow, I was an older undergraduate student, and she gifted me with the privilege of filling in for her with some of her music minors. I think music minors are non-majors, music non-majors, younger ones. And she asked me to step in because it was towards the end of the term and they needed some support and help with their juries. Well, the faculty, everybody figured out what to do to help these kids. So that was my introduction to teaching. And I cannot tell you how retrospectively grateful I am for that gift, because it did allow me to recognize a passion that I had not wanted. I had actually actively rejected. So, then that was my introduction to teaching. And then when life hit and choices hit, and I thought that I had come to the very end of my road with music, I jumped cars, jumped trains, jumped tracks, I don't know. But I went to a whole different world, and I took the opportunity to become a certified special education teacher in Clark County, Nevada. They had, at the time, I'm sure everybody's heard of these now because it's a thing. They had an alternate routes to licensure program in which they sort of did this intensive programming and deep dive for people who had who held master's degrees in any field to come in and start prepping to fill some of the teaching holes in the district. And my first gig out of that particular system was a classroom that, was everything I could possibly have been afraid of. I got tapped to teach a high school level, what they call resource math class. So basically, kids who need extra support come in, and the stuff that they're working on, in math, we kind of break it down into maybe smaller elements, try to find where they're, if the kid of the person, kind of miss some steps in the way, and figure out how to help them. Now, part of the reason I was I was an older undergrad was because I spent 10 years trying to figure out how I could get my college degree without a math class. And I kid you not, back in that day, it could be done. However, not for me. I got forced into the math. So the fact that my first public school teaching gig was a math class was not, the irony was not lost on me. And all I could think was, this ain't going to end well. Not only that, but some personal information. I am an only child, and I self-identify as female. I don't know that I had a choice in my particular, and I'm okay with that. But just all of my non-binary friends out there, I see you hard, and know that no choice is a valid choice. Anyhow, so back to my story. The story is, so I walk into this first teaching gig as an only child and a female from a very large extended family of very few females, and a creative arts background, which, is dominated by women. And I walked into a classroom of 8 teenage boys, being teenage boys, which I had zero experience with, except from the perspective of the teenage girl. That's no perspective. I was terrified. Oh my God. I don't even think I knew I was terrified, because there was other stuff going on in my life that was a little distracting, but that's another story. And I just thought, what the fuck am I doing here? But I don't know why or how, but I remembered the teaching and the teacher who broke math down for me and made it make sense. And all I could think was, well, let's see. I remember what he taught me. Let's see if it works for them. Now, if you are a kid, and I'm going to argue if you are a young man who struggles in school and probably has a harder life than any of the teachers in the building are willing to imagine, you get a little, what we like to call, oppositional, resistant. I'm picking up the poop because, when at dog park, that's what you do. So, I had one young man who was, he was very good at testing boundaries. And he just didn't want to have much to do with any of this, what is this math shit? And we had been working on the order of operations, and I had been trying to approach the concept in a lot of ways, because, as a person of multi-exceptionalities, I didn't know it then, but I know that for some kids, understanding exactly the why and the how, and how this concept applies in other areas, and hey, do you see how this works here? Can we apply the same logic and thinking here? I don't even think I knew that I was doing that because, you know, novice teachers. And we had a class one day. And he just was so anxious. He was so anxious to get up at the board. He's like, miss. I think I get it. And he gets up, and I let him take over the class, kind of. You know, it's just a couple of us, you know, small class. And first, he tells us how he remembered the acronym PEMDAS. And it is so good, I must keep saying it, and please forgive me if I could remember his name to give him credit. I would, if he ever finds this video and he remembers it. I hope he knows that he gets all the credit. Anyhow, he got up and he tells us how he remembered PEMDAS. And he said, Miss, look. It really stands for, please excuse my dumb ass son. And he proceeded to solve a multi-step equation at the board correctly, completely, for the first time in that class. And I could not contain my joy in my body. And I walked over to my computer, and I don't even think I said anything to him because I didn't know how I would contain that much energy. But I walked over to my computer, I promptly looked up his home telephone number, marched my little fanny over to the phone on the wall, picked it up, and the boy he was terrified. Oh my God, the level of fear in this boy's eyes. And I dialed his home phone number, and unfortunately nobody answered. But maybe that was a good thing, because I hope that he can actually still find the voicemail message. Because I left a message for his dad telling him how, at least I tried, how brilliant his son really was. How creative, how tenacious. How brave. And how he was really gonna be okay. Because this kid figured it out himself. And figured out how he knew what he knew. And was able to prove it. And I hope that the voicemail I left that day sufficiently carried all of that meaning and intent for that boy and that family. Sorry, I'm not going to edit and stuff, and I am long form, so, you know, I keep telling you on the trigger warning. I'm going to stick by that. But, that's when I realized I was doing something that could change the world. And I had never been able to feel that way in the previous career path, which was music. I am in a different place now, at the proverbial middle-aged crossroads of perimeno adolescent pause, where I am imagining a path back to music, in which maybe I can have the same kind of impact to the positive for people. as I felt like I could. I feel like I did, even for as arguably bad teacher as I was. I know that I still did some good. I'd like to do more good. I'm hoping these videos will help me do some of that. I need to give you all a caveat on the credentials. I am not a BCBA at this point. My ethics demand that I clarify. I did not choose to renew my certification this last cycle for about 100 million reasons. Some of them are probably going to come out as I talk about stuff and make videos. So effectively that means that if we would list it on a resume, BCBA would be noted with retired. So I need to state that because any opinions, thoughts, activities, hypotheses, anything I share from here on out, while informed through the lens of ABA and BCBA, are not, I repeat, these are not the words of a practicing BCBA. This is not medical advice. I am not a qualified behavioral health professional right now. I have actively chosen to not be for reasons that will probably become evident as folks journey with me. So, hi, welcome to my space. I hope that we can contribute to making the world a better place today. I am going to turn this off and pick up some more poop because I'm staring at a pile of doggy dung. I hope the day is as lovely there for you if you find this as it is here.